in your rights to person you have when you have a government where they be like say she dey share her opinion. People no dey use that one dey learn. She shared her opinion say okay normal she go talk am out of concern normal even if she dey vex no reach out to vex yes she dey say if I come now I see my house say e dirty I no go cry and say after why the house dirty that na wetin the babe do. Dem bag her 3 months make e sell the country and everybody dey feel say that NYSC scheme now na for the betterment of graduates wey don do and dem bag her another 3 months no be punishment no be that really no be punishment because why you go give her 3 months extra
she won't be paid
so make she serve the country in suffering.
Silence, dictionary meaning, the absence of sound. Silencing, dictionary meaning, to prevent from speaking. Can you really speak in Nigeria? Can you openly express yourself? Freedom of speech, is it a thing? Hello guys, welcome back to Madness in Nigeria Living and I'm your host Gisi. Freedom of speech, is it really a thing? Why am I thinking about silence? I first started thinking about silence with the concept of that NYSC cop Arai. The fact that she openly came to critique the effect of bad governance in Nigeria. And immediately she was silenced, or more like they tried to silence her. If you look at it as a single event, it's not really that much of a big deal, but that's the problem. We most times look at it as a single event, like it's not really a big deal, but it's systematic. And down below, I will leave a link to people that has been arrested since our current government came to be, and they were arrested for critiquing the government. So in a society where freedom of speech is a right, why can't we critique the government? Are we practicing democracy? Are we practicing totalitarianism? I already spoke about how Nigeria power structure, our understanding of power, plays a role in why our democracy doesn't work. But I really want to talk about how the silence culture is breeded in all form of abuse. It's not just because we believe we should not be the one to voice things. It's how it gives consent to our abuse. Let me say it like that. In Nigeria, first things first here, we understand power and power structure as a top-down dynamic. A person with authority should not be questioned. And that mindset is part of what leads to our silencing culture. I'm going to talk about it from different sectors of power. The first sector and the most important one, the one we get indoctrinated first, is parenthood, family and parenthood. When our parents were teaching us growing up, they taught us what they think was right. You usually can't question them. If you ask why, especially after they come back from work frustrated, you come and you ask why should I do it a particular way? Guaranteed you will get beaten. That being beaten is abuse. It's physical abuse. That's a guaranteed beating. But worse than that, if your mom beats you like that and you cry to your dad and explain why you got beaten, guaranteed you get beaten again. That's the typical basis of questioning. You are not supposed to question. They tell you how to do something, you're supposed to do it that particular way. And worse than that in itself is the fact that usually when you get beaten like that and you keep on crying, some parents will go further to beat you to keep quiet. It's not just I'm beating you for doing something I don't like. It's you can't question me for beating you, one. And if you keep on crying, you are a nuisance and I'm going to beat you further so you keep quiet. That is our first introduction to power. Mind you, when you are introduced to power in that kind of setting, it's difficult for you to see it inherent that you can question authority. We can think of it as, when we learn about democracy, we have the right to question authority. But if you look at the Nigerian society over and over again, you see that that is not the reality. We feel we do not have the right to question society. And worse than that, when someone is brave enough to question, you see a lot of fellow Nigerians, not even the government, fellow Nigerians critiquing that person. You're not supposed to do that. Who do you think you are? You shied. You're not supposed to do that. Why? That is the fundamental question today. Why? I just explained how our family dynamics give us that viewpoint. But if it's just the family dynamic, how come we see brave Nigerians, 1 or 2 brave Nigerians that still do it? The next point that prevents us from doing it is our immediate second power structure, which is usually the school or our religious bodies. Sometimes they are both and the same. A lot of people go to religious bodies school. And if you go to these places, you see that it follows a similar structure. They give you dogmas of how you are supposed to behave, what is right or wrong. They don't give you a reason as to why it's like that. You just know you are just supposed to follow. And when you question that authority, even out of curiosity, you usually get punished. When we get punished, and that's a reoccurrence, it's not just that your parents will beat you for questioning, it's that your teachers will beat you for questioning, it's that your pastors will systematically punish you for questioning, it's that your imam will systematically do the same thing. It teaches us that power figures should not be questioned. And that's before we even get to the governance. We just first learn at a fundamental young age that you are not supposed to question the government. That, would have been problematic in itself, but then apply it to the bigger culture, the bigger context of Nigeria. What do I mean by that? Nigeria is a country made up of many ethnic groups, and a lot of these ethnic groups still have their cultural norms that they believe in. But funny enough, one cultural norm you see across Nigeria as a whole is respect your elder. And it's not respect your elder because they show you respect. It's you're supposed to respect your elder without question asked. You're not supposed to be rude in any way to your elders. You're not supposed to in any way vocalize that the elder is doing wrong. You're supposed to not say anything. I saw a tweet here, and I've experienced something similar myself. I saw a tweet. The lady was like, she was in a public bus, and there was this man that throughout the journey was just preaching, and she could clearly see that everybody was not comfortable with the preaching because it's just noisy. We need peace and quiet. And she told the man, can you just stop your preaching and keep quiet already? You're disturbing us. She thought doing that, she's voicing the viewpoint of everybody in the bus and she will get support. She was wrong. Everybody started bashing her. Why would she be so disrespectful to an elderly man? And like I said, I've experienced the same thing. A man was still preaching in the bus. Similar thing, but mine wasn't me telling him to keep quiet. I just told him how if he thinks about what he's saying, he can see logical flaws in it. And it was the same, you are not supposed to do it. If we have that mindset of we are not supposed to do it, we breed children that are naturally not curious. We breed children that would want to save their own skin. And that's the Nigerian story. Everybody wants to save their own skin. If one person is being bashed, everybody will keep quiet. We see the same with Raya. She said what she had to say. NYSC have left her for 2 more months. This is just last week or so. Just because she vocalized that our government is bad. In a proper democracy, I should be able to ask the government, what are you doing wrong? I should be able to demand accountability from the government. But Nigerians feel like you can't do that. Because deep down, we have internalized that silencing that we learned from a very young age. And now to talk about governance. I asked earlier on, are we practicing democracy or a military rule? In Nigeria, on paper, we're practicing democracy.
As a society, we suppose dey see say normally no be democracy we dey practice. I believe if everyone get to understand that, we go actually know say because okay, person just dey air out im opinion which na fact. E dey let you dey know say okay, see o, this so place dey smell. You go check out the place whether the place not really dey smell. That no be wetin you suppose do. Wetin be democracy? Government for the people, by the people, and for the people. Abi, how should I talk? For that situation now, the government did they work in direction to that definition of democracy? They not work towards am. I sure say for those people they actually hear the word democracy, they go dey laugh also their head. Okay, now they gave her 3 months. At the end of the day now, okay, where is the right to freedom of speech?
That's the question. Is there freedom of speech in Nigeria?
Okay, that boys are not wetin we dey talk just now. Say all those things na wetin dem suppose hit up on for school, so that you go know, they go treat am say this thing, so na wetin you go actually take. But when they teach all those things, we every one of us feel remember how they teach all those. We dey like our civic teacher die.
Are we practicing democracy? Do we have freedom of speech? I asked this question on the group chat, and someone said, yes, we have freedom of speech. We just don't have a right to life. Meaning, you can say what you want to say, nobody's stopping you. But when you see the repercussion, now you sabi. As I've been making research on this topic, one thing that became very evident to me is how the after effect of military rule in Nigeria is still a strong thing. And I do believe that's something I would love to talk about in bigger lanes, because it's part of the madness in Nigeria that a lot of our dress code, a lot of our commuting from work to another place is tied back to our military rule, and we don't even notice anymore. We just go through it and know that this is how it's supposed to be. We don't question it. Now, to go back to if we are practicing a democracy, I for one don't believe we practice a democracy. Just voting is not what makes a democracy. North Korea has votes, but the average person will tell you North Korea is not a democracy. Why? Because we understand that the vote is just a ceremonial thing. Who is ruling will still continue ruling easily. So if we understand that just voting is not what makes a democracy, what then makes a democracy? There are a lot of things, and I'm just going to focus on the one because of the silencing culture. Democracy is a democracy when you can self-correct, and the only way to self-correct is having feedback. One way of feedback is freedom of press, is the ability of the individuals, the citizens, to be able to communicate. But when we live in a society wherein we fundamentally don't feel we can question any form of authority, we fundamentally don't feel we have a right to free speech, how can we practice a democracy? The individual Nigerian cannot.
You not take the government anything to they keep their citizens informed, what they have to know, what they need to know about the society. They are right. Not be coincidence. Not be coincidence. Say the government don't want me. You know the rights where you carry as a citizen. Not be coincidence. Now intentional something. Because when you don't know, now a person where you condition to the reason a certain way, you feel control them. It go easy for you to feel control that person.
I remember when I used to work in 9 to 5, there was one time we had a meeting with our boss, and the meeting was supposed to be how we can come together and find a safer and a healthier workspace. A lot of things were things the workers were complaining about or trapped before the meeting. But when we got to the meeting and our boss said what was in his mind, Said everything. Then he asked, do you have anything to say? I was surprised to see everybody was quiet. Nobody want to be the one to speak first. Nobody want to be the one to voice first. And it's not just that company. Even if the boss is nice, the average Nigerian feel you shouldn't do that. We see it everywhere. Let's talk about different pastors, different imams that have been accused of rape, that has been accused of sexual assault. Just go through the comment section. You see people saying the victim is not supposed to voice it out. The victim is supposed to be quiet. Why? The same silencing. And what's crazy about the systematic silencing here is the fact that we are all a part of it. We are all play a role. And no matter how rich you get, there's always someone richer than you. There's always someone more powerful than you. And because of that, we still fundamentally feel we can't voice what we want to voice. We saw the example with Senator Natasha. She voiced her abuse, and what happened? We saw the repercussion. A lot of people were openly saying she shouldn't have said what she said. The victim is now being pressured to keep quiet for the idea of the status quo. So am I saying we are silent to maintain the status quo? In one hand, yes. In another hand, there's the fascinating thing I discovered, which is our spiritual belief. What do I mean by that? The average Nigerian feel our word have power. We feel what we say can be used against us on a spiritual level. If I say, Omo, right now, things are not so well with me, we feel they can take it to Coven, the village people, the powers that be, and use it against us. And because we have internalized that spiritual component of speaking, we also feel if something is wrong with us, we don't want to voice it to outsiders because they can use it to make our life worse. That's another pattern that I saw when I was making this research. What I don't understand though is if that was the egg before the chicken, or if this is the chicken before the egg type of situation. It's not clear which came first. But one thing is for sure, we feel if I'm suffering, I shouldn't voice it. I shouldn't ask for help. If I'm being abused, I shouldn't say it because the powers that be might use it against me. I should just pray. And we're seeing it with our democracy. The government does whatsoever they want, and we just go to our own corners, complain and pray for it to be better for us. How can a politician openly say the money was stolen by a snake and everybody was quiet? Because we can't voice anything. We can't say anything. We have to change that. In big 2025, we have to change that. We have to be able to state that in a proper democracy, you can state your peace of mind. And the only way we can do that is we have to understand the law. That's my biggest problem in Nigeria. We are illiterate to the law. We don't know our rights. And we believe the system doesn't work. And to some degrees, the system doesn't work. But the system can only work when we understand the role we play in making the system not work. And one role we play is silence. Our silence perpetuates the abuse. When somebody is being abused, we are quiet. We say nothing about it. We tell the person to shut up. Any person supporting them, we tell them to shut up. We remind them of the repercussion of voicing, forgetting that the Nigerian youth make up 70% of the population. We have the numbers. We just don't have the words. We don't have the voice.
A majority number of people now, they actually don't know their right as a citizen. So what are you actually expecting them to stand up for? When person don't know he right, he not like wetin you dey talk sef, he no dey fit put am into reasoning. He go just dey look you. So the foundation is faulty, and the orientation they don't get am, and it will not be coincidence.
And that's why I was talking to someone and they were talking about how rape has become more rampant in this day and age. I said if you look at the data, rape did not become more rampant in Nigeria. More and more women started talking about it. And even with that, they face severe silencing. They are not supposed to say that they are victims. So we're not comfortable with hearing someone got raped. So we want them to keep quiet. It's not just women. We see it everywhere. We always silence. Think about it. Think about yourself. What role have you played in keeping someone silent? And we need to change that. We need to vocalize our struggle. We need to vocalize the pain of being a Nigerian citizen. Because it makes it harder and harder to see any benefit of being a Nigerian citizen. We like to silence people. We play a role. We expect the kid to not talk back to us. We have a fake sense of what respect is. A fake sense. And for that reason, we don't even see a need to vocalize our struggle. That has to change. This episode is not ending on a beautiful note. It's anger at this point. And I feel we should be angry. I've said it before. One of our biggest problems is we joke too much in this country. I don't like that. I do not like that at all. See you again next week or next 2 weeks. I divorce at this point. It not even makes sense.